It's May 24th, 2021, and we're back in the garden. So I've been working on it for 2 weekends, getting all the leaves out that I put in every fall to protect it for the winter. And I've been tilling it up, putting in fertilizer, putting in a little bit of garden soil, and just kind of surveying the garden to see what came back. And what surprised me was we've already got lettuce from last year. And I believe those might be carrots right there. And right here. You see there's a carrot right there. Got a red onion. And as usual, the strawberries have come back, but we just haven't had a lot of good results with the strawberries. I don't know if we'll get anything this year. It's hard to say. The raspberries are back. They're pretty strong. I went ahead and I pruned off everything that was dead. I planted a blackberry bush last year. For all I know, this could be it or this, and it didn't produce any fruit. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have any luck with that this year. But what we were thinking about doing, I moved the overflow of green onions out of this section of the garden. We're thinking about buying some blackberry bushes and planting them. And then even if they don't come up this year, if they come up next year, we'll have raspberries and blackberries. Here, I'm using these pots to grow from seed lunchbox red sweet snacking peppers. So last year, what I did was I saved seeds from different peppers that I was growing. I dried them out, put labels on the bags, and saved them for the winter. So I'm reusing these labels here, these little spikes from Bonnie Plants, to mark these pots. Hopefully they come up. This one says Big Boy Tomato, but it's really Parks Whopper. So this one I bought at the store. They had a sale, 3 for $9. And this I bought at Walmart years ago. It had bush green beans in there. So I went ahead and I put a couple seeds, and we'll see if anything happens. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I had a few leftover pumpkin seeds, so I put 2 in here, but every year I've had bad results with watermelon, squash, pumpkin, even zucchini and cucumbers. So since I had them, I decided to go for it, but I wasn't going to spend any money on pumpkins this year. You can see, here's some more plants that I picked up. Once again, they had a sale. So I've got a tomato plant here, and I've got, I believe, a green bell pepper and a jalapeno and maybe a red bell pepper plant there. Over here where I've got these garden lights, you might have seen in the video the kind of lights that I use to light my walkway up front. That's marking that entire row. Those are potatoes. When I was tilling up the garden, I found a bunch of potatoes from last year, and I went ahead and replanted them, see if they spread. Over here is cilantro, and it might look a little bit limp there, but it was transplanted from the other side of the garden we were at just a while ago. Some of it came up from last year, so I decided to go ahead and put a row of it here, and I put seeds right next to it. Over here, done the same sort of thing. I've reused these Bonnie Plant labels. In this case, I actually bought a jalapeno because they had it this early in the season. Typically, I don't see these until later in the season. But this entire row right here are jalapeno seeds that I saved from last year. Same thing with serrano and with jalapenos. So we'll see what happens there. I cut back a bunch of the raspberries. These may not come back this year. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. Transplanted a green onion there. I've got more green onion I know what to do with. And I've got some room here if I need to move some raspberry plants because they're just spreading all over. They've been spreading that direction. In here, went ahead and I planted lettuce in the front and carrots in the back. And then here, where I had corn last year, I went ahead and decided to do the rows again. So we've got garden salsa, 2 rows. We've got Mexibel, 2 rows. And then over here, I transplanted different red and green onions. I even dug up a strawberry plant by mistake and just decided to put it in there and just see what happens. So these will either take or they won't. Speaking of onions, so red and yellow onions have come up, and I've actually moved a few from the other side of the garden and transplanted them over here. But these onions are 2 years old now, so, or I should say I planted them last year. So I don't know if I'm gonna get a crop this year. I'm really not sure. I mean, I'd like to have some large onions. I don't want something small, so I'm not really too sure how long they take to mature, or maybe I'm just not doing something right. There's not an issue here with the green onions. I actually had to transplant some green onions over here from the other side of the garden to make room for other stuff, but I've got plenty of seeds, and from time to time I'll take these seeds and I'll just I'll bury them or just let them go. In here, got the same lattice that I use every year, all along the edge, pole beans. And right down the middle, I planted bush beans. I've done this several times and the bush beans just never come up. On this side here, I just decided to do something a little bit different. Since some cilantro was already growing here, I put cilantro in with the pole beans. We'll see if we get a row of it come up or not. This area here with the fresh garden soil on it, I buried compost in there as well as in here. And everything in here are Fresno peppers, and then right here is a row of Mexibel, and I can see a critter was in here last night digging it up, so who knows if anything will take. But I just threw a bunch of seeds in here. Once again, these are seeds from last year that I dried out and stored. We'll see if they take, and if they don't, maybe later in the year Fresno peppers might be available, and maybe I can get one or two and at least just plant them at the end. So this really is an area for me to plant something at a later point. This is an expansion type area here. And this raspberry plant really hasn't produced any raspberries, so I trimmed it back some this year and it doesn't seem to like it. I may trim it back some more. Maybe at one point I might even remove it, I'm not sure. But I've got room here and here for any sort of late add-ons to the garden, and I'm really not too sure. I was kind of thinking of asparagus and celery. Celery worked out really well last year, and asparagus takes a couple years to come up as far as I know, so I could at least get it started in here. As well as having that area in the garden for expansion, I've got 3 pots that I haven't put anything in. If I decide to go ahead and, pardon the freeway noise, if I decide to go ahead and either buy some plants or try some other seeds, I've got a little bit more room here for expansion, and I've got plenty of hoops for tomatoes and green peppers and things like that. Last, we have this section on the other side of the fence where I've got the chicken wire here to kind of keep Mr. Bunny out. And all through here, I planted 2 kinds of corn. I thought it might be a good idea to kind of rotate out some of the stuff. Some things are growing in the same area they always grow. Those are the hardier plants that seem to survive. But, you know, I hear farmers, they rotate out what they grow every year. So I've decided just to try to grow corn here instead of in the same spot and see what sort of results I get. But something I did last year that I did again this year was right along the edge here, I dug a trench and I just spread a whole bunch of seeds for marigolds. Now I learned from my mom when I was a kid that at the end of the season, the marigolds have seed pouches that dry out. If you pick those and save those, you can replant those seeds next year and you don't have to buy any more seeds. So everything in here are seeds from the flowers that were planted here last year. So hopefully they come up. And I mean, that's all I did last year was I just trenched it and just dumped a bunch of seeds in there. And I mean, they came up all over the place. It was kind of a mess, but I really didn't mind them being that crowded and in there. And I may go ahead and border other parts of the garden with marigolds in the weeks to come. But hopefully I have good results here with corn. And over the summer, I'll do some videos and let you know what's working and what's not. In this area here where I planted the carrots and lettuce, I may not get very much this year, but then again, it could come up in the spring the following year, like the section did on the other side of the garden. Who knows? I really haven't thought about expanding the garden either this year. I'm not sure that I want to add on to it. I just deal with what I've got. But maybe in the future I'll expand the garden out some more. It's hard saying. Thanks for watching.